Hey everybody, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Also, please do check out the description section below, where I often put more information about whatever it is I'm talking about. Also, if I had to change your mind, change your heart, if I forgot something, I failed to mention it, whatever, it'll be in that description section. There might also be links in there as well, so check it out. And if you have any questions, or you potentially own these speakers or another speaker that you really enjoy that's kind of in this price range, I would love to hear about it. Let's get started. So these are a few speakers that currently, as I'm recording this video, and this recording might go live days or weeks later, but as I'm recording this now. So this is going to be a $550 or less per speaker Shootout. So these are some speakers that I happen to do an individual review of each, so please do check out those reviews for more information and more detail. What I want to do is I want to talk about my favorite picks and kind of give you a little bit of a quick overview of each speaker, and that might help you decide what might be best for you. I realize that there are a lot of other speakers on the market in this price range. If you have something that you love, I would love to hear about it as well. I do only like to talk about things that I have actually purchased, own, or have experience, so just keep that in mind. The speaker all the way here on my right, which is probably on your left, this is the I'm already messing up. This is the Elac Debut 2.0, and I believe it's like F6.2 or something like that. This speaker has three 6.5 inch. This is actually the mid-range. And over here, this is the Elac UniFi. I think it's F something, or it's 5.2 or whatever it is. Anyway, I'll put it in the description below. I know that this is the UniFi, and this has 5.25 inch woofers, and this up here is a tweeter and mid-range all in one. This is the Polk Audio Signature series. This is the 60. And this has three 6.5 inch woofers. On these speakers, the ports are on the rear. I just want to point that out. On this Polk, the port is firing to the floor. And this Polk Audio is the Signature Elite. And this also has the port firing on the floor. And it has the same size woofers and tweeter. And actually the woofers and the tweeter are the same in the owner's manual. Just there's a little bit of a change. You could see the cap, or whatever it's called, that they put on it, whereas this doesn't have it. It's flat. Now over here, all the way on my left, this little bookshelf, and I hope it's in view. This little bookshelf is the GoldenEar Aon 3. The GoldenEar Aon 3, this has a 7-inch woofer, and this has a ribbon tweeter along with two 8-inch passive radiators on each side. Check out my review for that as well. So you might be thinking, kind of like, why is a bookshelf speaker sitting here? Well, this bookshelf speaker is a $550 bookshelf speaker when it's not on sale. This Polk Tower, the Elite, is also $550 when it's not on sale. This is typically $450. The UniFi, the Elac UniFi, I believe is currently selling for about $700. And the Elac Debut is, I believe it's about $530 or so, when it's not on sale. So that'll give you a kind of an idea of the price range. And I know this speaker over here is $700 when it's not on sale, but when I picked this up, it was $530 on sale, so just keep that in mind. But I feel like this speaker is very well suited to be sitting with the rest of these speakers overall. The Elac Debut Tower, with this speaker, I think that this speaker is good with, for example, home theater receiver power. I tested this out on the Onkyo TX-RZ840 receiver, which when it's run in pure mode, that is giving 120 watts times 2. I did also test this out going all the way up to my Emotiva 300 watt per channel amp. And to be honest, all that extra wattage really doesn't do anything for it. It is recommended with a maximum input of 140 watts. So check out the video for more details about that. But for now, let me say, I think that this speaker, because of its overall height, I think it does better in like a medium room or a medium to maybe large-ish size room. It's very late when I'm making this video, so a little tired, but I'm just kind of excited and I kind of wanted to do it. So this speaker, I think, you know, medium size room, large size room. It does well with medium volume and low volume, okay? The bass on it, it kind of sounds like it's a bit strong with some of the upper bass, but it kind of does give you that nice type of like a bass bump. You could hear the little thuds coming from it. It's not a bright speaker. It's not a sharp sounding speaker. And I think with this, the best amplifier for it would be to connect it to a neutral amp or a bright sounding amp. I would not want to warm this up anymore because it's kind of dull in the mid-range. I found the mid-range to be pretty dull, kind of a bit muted. It's going to be a matter of personal taste. But this is a speaker that when it's on sale, you could pick it up for like $400 each. So again, if you have receiver power and you're not planning on, you know, purchasing amps and stuff like that, I think that this is perfectly fine because adding more power to it, I don't think it really changed the sound at all. It's pretty close. So what I'm saying is, you know, I wouldn't purchase this and go drop thousands on an amp. It's not worth it. Let's talk about the UniFi. And also, let me back up. I don't think this is very good for rock music, metal, stuff like that. The music would be pretty light sounding music, easygoing music, nothing too aggressive with this speaker. The Elac UniFi, this speaker is kind of interesting because, well, first of all, it's kind of small. So I think it's good for small rooms. I would stick this in a small room, like a small bedroom, like maybe a 10 by 12 or maybe a 10 by 13, something like that. Who knows, maybe up to like 10 by 15. Something like that, small room. I don't think that this is good in a large room, like not a 15 by 20 or by 25 or whatever, or anything like that. I think with this, small rooms, the bass on this speaker, I feel pretty much the same way I do with the Debut, the Elac Debut. It has a bit of like an upper bass strength, and you could hear it, but with this speaker, what makes it different is it's a little bit, I find it to be a little bit more clear sounding in that mid-range and in the treble, a little bit more detailed. Whereas the Debut, I find it to be muted in there. So when I'm listening to this speaker, I'm listening to it and I'm not used to hearing certain music tracks sound the way it does coming out of it, because it just has a bit of like a muted sound to it. So I'm kind of like waiting for it to, produce more sound, but it just doesn't. Okay, and that's just, the way it sounds. So for some people, it might be great. For others, maybe not so much. But, the amplifier combination and the source and all that, your personal hearing, your room acoustics, all that's going to vary. So, it could change a lot. But that's what I heard from this. With the UniFi, it's definitely more clear in that treble, in that mid-range. Because the mid-range and the tweeter is all in one over here, it's a little top-heavy sounding. Kind of like the KEF, like the Q950. I did a review of that, so check it out. But it's a little bit top-heavy because, again, there's such a large amount of frequencies coming out of up here, and then over here is all bass frequencies. So, you know, like I don't really hear any like vocals coming out of this overall. It seems like everything is coming out of, you know, this mid-range and tweeter. I don't think that this speaker is a great choice for rock and metal as well. It's kind of hard when I compare these two that, you know, maybe I can't really say that I could recommend this one more because, you know, the size difference makes it sound smaller, okay? So because it's smaller sounding, it kind of loses some of the advantage of that, you know, better clarity compared to this where it doesn't have as good clarity, but it's larger sounding. But again, with rock and metal, I don't think that this is a very good speaker for that either. It feels like it's lacking. It doesn't sound like everything is coming through so well. So, you know, easygoing music for this, easygoing music for that, and the volume range as well. I think it's good at lower volumes and medium volumes. But if you want a speaker that you could turn up and crank, these are not it. The Polk Signature, the S60 or Signature 60, whatever it is. Anyway, this speaker, I find this speaker to be a very sharp sounding speaker, a very bright sounding speaker. This type of a speaker I think is good if you feel like your hearing is less sensitive. And you know, I know as we get older, our hearing naturally becomes less sensitive. Or if that's just, you know, how it is normally, you know, this might be a great speaker because it is kind of sharp. You can use an equalizer on this to kind of change it and kind of cool it off, but I don't think that the tonal balance of it, because it's very, very forward sounding. It's very forward sounding. These I find to be a little bit less forward sounding, the Elacs, but this speaker I find it to be very forward sounding, very, you know, straight at you. For this one, I would say a very warm amp. If you have an amp and it's very warm and you know that that amp is warm and you know that that amp warms up speakers, this is a great match because, you know, you want a very warm amp, whereas with these you want an amp that's more on the bright side, and especially right here you really want to brighten this one up. This one, you know, I would think neutral to, you know, potentially bright, but not warm. No warmth over here. No warmth with the Elacs. So with that said, the Polk has a very large sound. It's a big speaker. It's a very solid looking speaker. It's very heavy. It feels very well made, and it just makes a very nice appearance. This one was the website exclusive, the Polk website exclusive, and it's white, looks nice. It has a nice style on the side. These both look the same. They look exactly the same, the way the exterior looks. These you can buy amp, and I don't remember if, yeah, these you can buy amp, the Elacs you can't. And I don't remember, yeah, the Aon 3 you can't either. So you could buy amp this, you could buy amp this. You know, buy amping, I did it a few years back, and I used a home theater receiver to buy amp a speaker. When I did it, I don't really think I noticed much of a difference. And I was kind of testing it, and I was like, you know, did it really do anything? For me, it wasn't worth losing 2 extra channels, 2 more speakers with a home theater receiver to, you know, buy amp a speaker. It just wasn't worth it. So that's my opinion with buy amping. Maybe one day in the future I'll do it again. I don't know. But as for now, let's talk about the Signature Elite. So the Polk Audio Signature Elite. This overall is a good sounding speaker. It's basically a refined version of the Signature. It just sounds nicer overall. They took away a lot of that forward, like that piercing sound. It's much more pulled back than the than the original Signature. It's also a little bit warmer sounding. And I think that listening to music on this, even though this is rated a little bit lower in the bass, I believe this one's rated to 26 hertz, but just check out the video I have of this, it'll be there. And this one is rated at 30, I think it's 32. So it's not too far, it's like maybe, you know, 5 or 6 hertz difference. This one just sounds deeper and bassier. Right? These speakers, both of these, Polk recommends up to 300 watts with these, whereas, you know, these two were both, this one, the Elac UniFi, is also 140 watts recommended maximum or something like that. But again, check out the video I have for that. Anyway, this speaker I think is a very good speaker for the money at $550. It sounds much better than these. It's just overall, it's larger sounding, it's more powerful sounding. It does have an interesting tonal quality about it though, because sometimes the voices can kind of sound, you know, kind of like that. Like there's a bit of like a magnification on it. And the only way I was able to explain it in the other video was that it reminded me a bit of like the Bowers & Wilkins 603 anniversary tower. Not quite as much, but kind of a similar type of sound projection coming out of that, you know, that mid-range sound. So vocals, stuff like that, the way it comes forward. The bass on this speaker is, you know, it's pretty good. I think that this is a great choice at the $550 price point. I think it's going to be pretty hard to find something that sounds better. If somebody asked me, you know, how much do I think that this speaker is, and I had no clue, I mean, I would say probably like $700. I would think this is like $700. I would never think this is $700. To be honest, I'd probably say this is like $350. I mean, I'm not really kidding. I'm laughing, but I mean, I'm kidding a little bit, but I'm not really kidding because, I mean, I really would not think that this speaker is $700 and this is $550. And especially not after listening to it. This speaker just, it sounds really good for the price. Is it perfect? No. Does it have a bit of like an edginess at times? Yeah. Does it play loud? Yeah, you could turn this up. You know, it plays good at medium volumes as well, and it's pretty good at low volumes too. I really don't have any problems with it, especially again for $550 for something that's this size. This speaker would make a good, you know, front left and front right in a home theater system. You know, you could probably set it to, you know, you could set your crossover to probably, if you have a 40 hertz crossover on it, or, you know, you could set it to large according to Polk Audio. In the manual, they say to set this speaker to large. That's what it says, okay? So, and the same thing with this, you know, set it to large. You know, that's what it's designed for. But, you know, if you do have a, you know, if you do have a home theater receiver and you have like a, you know, a low crossover, 40 hertz, 50 hertz, you know, that might be something to experiment with the speaker a bit, because then you'll really be, you know, taking that lower bass that in here, you know, it might start to get lost. And, you know, obviously it's just kind of gonna roll off. So you're taking some of that and then putting it into your subwoofer, so you're, you know, holding on to it rather than just kind of vanishing or, you know, be weaker. But if you don't have a sub, of course, you know, set this to large and enjoy it. This is the GoldenEar Aon 3. This is a bookshelf speaker, but let me tell you, this speaker has such large sound. It is amazing the sound that comes out of this thing. It has a 7-inch woofer, which is right around over here. And it has a AMT ribbon tweeter. Over here is a passive radiator. There's one here, and there's one here. So with a passive radiator, the passive radiator only moves based on how the powered woofer, that's powered from your amplifier or receiver, is moving. So this woofer functions as a mid-bass driver. So, you know, it's one of those combinations. This is a two-way speaker. So when this moves, it makes the passive radiators move. The tweeter on this is so fantastic. I've never listened to anything and thought, wow, it sounds bright, or it sounds too sharp, or it sounds terrible. It has such a nice tonal balance, and it's not forward sounding at all. So it almost sounds like the sound is kind of stopping like midway from you. And when I'm listening to like acoustic music and stuff, it's like the strings are just being picked in the air sometimes. But what I love about it is as the volume goes up, the sound gets wider and wider. So at lower volumes, the sound is more narrow. This is like my speaker of choice first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning, I don't want to hear anything that's piercing me. I don't want to. I mean, over here, the treble is very nice, very clear, very crisp, great for acoustics. I just thought about it. I might have forgot to mention that, but I'm glad I did now. Great for rock, great for metal. I don't know if I said that, but it is, it rocks. But this speaker rocks as well. I mean, this thing for a bookshelf rocks. So if you have a bad back, okay, and you can't, you know, have like a 53 pounds or 55-pound monster like this, because it is very hard to move, this is a great choice. And actually, this is such a great choice that it might be a better choice than this. And if somebody said to me I had to get rid of one of these, I'd be getting rid of the Polk. I really like it, and I think at $550 it's a great choice. But this Aon 3 is just so amazing sounding with everything. But it's different sounding. So it doesn't blend as well with other speakers that have tweeters like these do, okay? Because when I switch speakers and I'm listening to them and then I'm listening to another set using the Onkyo, I'm flipping the, the speaker sets I can listen to, and having this hooked up to the Emotiva amp, it sounds great. It's great sounding with 120 watts, like the power that comes out of the Onkyo, but it's even better when you start to increase the wattage. The recommended power range at the top of it, I believe, was about 250, but you know, it sounds great with the 300 watts coming out of the Emotiva. This speaker to me is fantastic. I mean, I can't believe it's this small and sounds as good as it does. You could put this up high on top of a bookshelf 6 feet high. You could use it for rear surrounds. You could use it for main speakers. You could put it on a table. You could put it on a table, you know, out from the wall and it sounds good. You could put it up against the wall and it sounds great. Corner placement, it sounds great. It just depends on, you know, your room and where you want to put it, but it's so nice and flexible. It's not, you know, it's not very dependent on its location. So that's what I'm saying. You could really put this almost anywhere. I mean, of course, it's going to change, you know, the sound of the bass and all that, because that's the case with any speaker. But overall, it still maintains a quality sound anywhere you place it. So for me, with all of these speakers, you know, it's a little bit difficult, but my two favorites are the Aon 3 and the Polk Signature Elite, okay? But for you, which speaker would be right, you know, that's up to you. You always have to test it out in your home. This speaker is fantastic for all kinds of music. It's great for jazz, it's great for rock, it's great for metal. The tweeter knows when to let go of cymbals. So what I mean is, when a cymbal is hit, many times with other speakers, like for example over here, the Elacs hold on to the treble a lot of times. I'm like, okay, enough. You know, the cymbal's been hit like 10 minutes ago, stop. I mean, I'm kidding, but not really. Anyway, so instead of, you know, when that cymbal's hit, the sound is going, this is like, the cymbal's hit and the cymbal gets hit and it's like, done. So it's like, done. It just knows when to end it. It's great at just stopping the endless shimmering and sizzling sounds that, you know, can happen with other speakers and, you know, certain recordings from, different artists. Some of those recordings are pretty bad, or, they just, they sound really bad with certain speakers. So I think for me, my favorite, my speaker of choice there, the absolute favorite, is the Aon 3. And I do hope that you found this video somewhat helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please post them in that section below. Again, thank you for watching. I do appreciate you. And check out the comments section as well. I mean, the description section, in case I forgot to mention in the beginning, I don't remember. Because I am pretty tired making this video late at night, but I was kind of excited to make it, so I figured why not. Thanks for watching.